Hello friends, my name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to the show. It's Whoop Wednesday. We are going to take a look at the, well, I mean, just in general, 1.5mm motor shaft motors. Specifically 702s for really lightweight whoops. Although this does kind of still apply for 75mm rigs. I have not been able to bend or break one of these 1.5mm motor shafts on 75mm rigs either. And so, yeah, how do we get motors that are indestructible in the tiny whoop world is what we're going to kind of talk about. And I thought about doing this because it also lets me dive into, and we are going to dive into, troubleshooting. This Modula 6 2024 version 2 with the motor plugs got abused pretty good the other on a previous live stream, and two of the motors are pretty banged up from going into the going into the stairs at full stank, and so this is getting switched over to this frame with motors with props, and it's a perfect chance to kind of troubleshoot this and just sort of talk about what that process looks like, because troubleshooting these things is super important to learn, and unfortunately it's also super difficult. And so we'll run a battery on this, and then we'll kind of take a look at the behaviors. We'll listen to it. I've got the new mic set up. We're gonna use that as well. I've kind of dialed it in a little bit. I added a compressor, I added a gate. I watched the live stream the other night to hear what that other mic sounded like, and it's really cool. That's a really fun little setup that I've done there. It is, whoever said that it was immersive, is that is the word for it. And so we'll see how it is. It should be a little bit better tonight. And I also just happened to be in the garage. This is me getting batteries out to charge them so that we can actually fly our 6 batteries tonight. I was in the garage doing something last night, and I stumbled across all of the acoustic foam that I had from my apartment in the much smaller office. And I said, all right. And I grabbed it. And so now it's all stacked up over here. And I'm going to see what I can do. At the very least, I have 8 big, thick bastards that I'm going to... they should fit perfectly on these ceiling tiles up here. So at the very least, I'm going to glue 8 of those up here. I've then got a whole bunch of purple and gray ones. I don't know if I'm actually going to do anything with those, but we'll see. I don't know. If I can come up with like a cool design over there on the wall, maybe I'll do something, but I killed myself painting this wall flat gray. I don't want to screw it up, and so I might not. Because these foam bastards, there's never like a great way to stick them up. And yeah, I don't want to mangle that wall. If I do something, I might build like a frame and then put a bunch of them on the frame and then just throw a nail into the wall and hang the frame. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. That other microphone location is so good that I'm willing to entertain some ideas to make it sound a little bit better, because that's just kind of fun. Look at this. This tattoo battery is starting to puff up. That stinks. All right, 5 batteries going on the charger. In the name of the stream title is #6 batteries. That is your reminder to fly your 6 batteries today so that you can continue to grow as a pilot. If you do that every single day with a tiny whoop, you're only talking like 20 minutes of work, and it's fun work. If you do that every day, you won't believe how much better you get as a pilot, like from one month to the next. It's about that consistency. It's about doing the hard thing every day. Join me on the 6 battery a day journey, and yeah, get better at flying. We'll do it together. Before I start troubleshooting this thing, I do want to make sure that I've pulled all the hair out of the motors, because every once in a while, hair can be the problem. It was way worse in the brushed whoop days, but even with these brushless whoops, and with like the outboard motor design, if a hair gets between the stator and the bell, it can really cause issues. So yeah, we're going to fly this as it is on the 1mm motor shaft 0702 32500s with the Gemfan bi-blades. Take a look at the weird behavior. Hopefully it acts up. It's been very intermittently acting up. So hopefully it acts like an idiot. And then we'll talk about kind of troubleshooting that, where you should go first, where you should go second. And then we'll get it switched over to this frame. And so I guess you'll also get another opportunity to see how the 1.4-inch bi-blades compare to the 1.4-inch tri-blades. We've done that a couple times now, but it'll be cool to kind of do that again. Before I forget, what I'm doing right now is I'm rerouting the antenna on this thing. The ELRS antennas... What the hell? Why is it not auto Oh, I have the exposure locked for... Oh, well, that's not going to work. I have the exposure locked for looking over at this side of the room. Farts. Well, all right, I'll leave it. When you've got your little piece of wire jank-ass ELRS antenna, make sure that antenna is not just kind of sitting up in the middle of nowhere asking to sit there and vibrate. Make sure that you've got it like pushed up against something. One of my favorite things to do is I run it up here next to the camera, and I'll make like a little 90-degree angle over top of the camera. I don't like it sticking straight up, because then it's the highest point, and every time you crash, you smash it. And they're not super strong. So get it tucked in somewhere and try to like push it up against something so that there's no chance of it vibrating and it being the reason that your build is flying like ass. And so that's what I'm doing right now, is I'm just kind of tucking it into the side of the camera and then making a little 90-degree angle And there we go. Whoops. It keeps popping out the top here. Get in there. There we go. Yeah, there it is. All right, so that now, and I'd messed with this before and it didn't improve the behavior, so this shouldn't have much of an effect, but the antenna is now, it's the little copper bastard that's going up above the camera, and then there you can kind of see the 90-degree angle, and then that little upward angle has it driving itself into the top part of the canopy there. So it's just not hanging out in the middle of nowhere. It's pushed up against something so that it's not going to have some weird-ass vibration at some weird-ass frequency that makes this thing go bananas. Cool? Always pay attention to that stuff. Anything on the build that can flop around, try to get it to not flop around. That also, that includes the wires going from the board to the camera. Twist those wires up, get them into a place where they're like pushing themselves up against something. If you spin the wires up, if you just, you know, straighten the wires out and then turn so that they're all twirled up, that does a really good job at sort of like bunching them up so that they can't get some weird oscillation, some weird vibration going. So this thing is ready to go. I just gotta wait for those batteries to charge, and we'll fly a battery, see if we can get it to act weird. If we can't get it to act weird, I'm just gonna crank the PIDs way up on it until it starts to act weird, and then yeah. We'll talk about it. The kind of smooth plate here is great. Cryo Grip Glacier. Really, really nice. The TPU sticks like just the right amount, but not too much, where it pops right off. And the texture on the bottom is kind of nice. So yeah, if you have a Bamboo Lab A1 Mini, I actually have an extra one of these that I will sell you. So let me know if you have an A1 Mini and you want a. It's similar to an engineering plate. The plate that they give you is very textured, the gold plate. This is a lot smoother, and so yeah, that's what that is. I've been printing a bunch of stuff in violet. Etsy order came in where somebody ordered some violet stuff, so I've been printing that out, and then I had a bunch of stuff I've been meaning to print for myself. This, for example, is the bumper, the chin bumper thing for the Siren F3, and it comes in green. But who wants green when you can have dark purple? I also printed their brand new 03 camera mounts that push the 03 camera far enough forward that the top plate is not in view. So I'm excited about that. Yeah, those are the two Quadmula prints that I did. Well, I did some other like antenna prints, but I already had them taken care of. And I screwed around with hand drawing supports in, and it was very easy, and it made a big difference in this print. This print has a bunch of overhang, and so I printed it the first time without supports, and it was ugly as hell, and then I just drew in a little support, well, two supports, one on either side, and the supports looked ugly as hell because I was all shaky when I was drawing it in, but they got the job done, and that's all that matters. I'm getting a bunch of stringing here lately, and I swear to God, if you say dry your filament, I'm going to slap you in public. I dried the filament for 10 hours. It's not a filament is not dry issue. I've gone all the way back to the defaults in my Bamboo profile just to kind of start from scratch, and so I need to figure that out. I need to figure out what. It's maybe a retraction setting. I don't think I have any retraction turned on, so I might need to turn some sort of a retraction thing on in there to get to help with the string, but I'm going to do a little bit of research on the internet, or I'll just call Brian from Brain 3D and be like, help me, you know things. We'll see. We'll see how worthless I'm feeling. In the chat, what's happening? Hey, the flight footage at the beginning there is when there's somebody plugged in on any digital channel at all in the vicinity of you trying to fly analog. It's just insane. But yeah, that's what the interference looks like. It's those like crisp horizontal bands that go across the screen. If you ever get that, that's what it is. Okay. Where are we at in the chat here? Hey, You Can FPV was first. FizzFPV was next. Mike K, Josh Bergeron, McMucus, Madman FPV, Flycadelic, Mike K, Matthew W, Andrew Taylor, Whoop Fox, Alec Dvornik, dude, how you been, brother? FizzPV, Jason Levin, Himox, Mina FPV, Frank Nicholas, Benny Bravo, Denzel the Terrible, Everyday with Bruno, Flyzone FPV, Whoop Fox, Himox, that rhymes, Cole Powers, Fizz again, Jam 2.1, oh, I forgot to open the stream with something, hold on, check this out. Denzel the Terrible, Skull 901, Teleport FPV, Nyafu, P-Money, C-Joe. Look at this. Look what FizzPV made. Oh wait, no, I downloaded it. I was so excited that I actually downloaded it. All right, ready? I should wait until I fly. Here's a preview. This is in garbage quality because it's through the live stream, but patrons will have access to the early version of this in a minute. Not in a minute, in a while. But look at this, hold on. Where's it at? I just need something to play while I put this song on. This is the 1.6 inch prop build out in front of the house. How am I going to do this? How do I... Is this is the one. Okay, so we got... Oh, for fuck's sake. Stop it! Here we go. Yeah, this is the 2S 75mm rig. There's a proper edit with proper music coming. But for right now, you got to hear this song that Fizz made. It's absolutely hysterical. You're going to lose my audio. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Out in the yard where the grass grows wild, CiottiFPV's goggles locked, grin like a child. Teddy Spaghetti's fur flies and jet wash dreams. Yeah. Chasing small whoops like a dog possessed fiend. Eyes on a neon blur, hard in the chase. Big fuzz and prop spin all tangled in place. Yeah. Four-legged rebel with a rotor stir tail in the circus of the sky. They never fail. CiottiFPV, Teddy Spaghetti, dynamic duo kings, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed, they zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sadi's on sticks, Teddy's on paws. Side by side, legends breaking all the laws. Through the kitchen, over couch scale terrain. Backyard mayhem in their flight domain. No ground too sacred, no loop too tight. Fuzz, fuel, fury ignites the night. When pilot and pup lock eyes on the prize, every whoop they conquer is a fresh cut surprise. Yeah. Yo, Shotty behind the sticks, Teddy's leading the pack. Prop guard missiles unleashed, never looking back. No leash, no map, just freestyle Mike. They on the dog drone streets every day and night. Said whoops, hitting low, gotta nail the dive, Teddy. Push throttle up, feel the beast come alive. I see the neon arc, got the sticks locked in, Teddy. Yeah, let's rip this loop, ride the roar of the wind, Teddy. Yep. Yeah, CiottiFPV, Teddy's spaghetti, diamond and duo kings, barking at the breeze, trawling at top speed, zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Teddy's spaghetti. Barking at the breeze, falling at top speed, zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Yeah, when you hear that bar cut the rotor hum, you know Ciotti and Teddy's mission's just begun. FPVs, fur-faced legends, legends singing loud. Yeah, Teddy spaghetti and CiottiFPV, always proud. Yeah.
We're all screwed, my friends. Musicians, all artists are completely and utterly fucked. FizzPV is in the chat talking about how he made it. Yeah, that is AI, but that is well-trained AI. It wasn't the previous Teddy Spaghetti song was, I get the feeling like 10 minutes of work, and it's hysterical. That was probably closer to like an hour of just, yeah, working a little bit harder with AI, and that's insanely good. Like, that's ridiculous. That might be the new intro song. It's a little bit long for the intro, but I don't know. Well, I meant to change the intro song for today. All right, let me get caught up on chat real quick. Type CiottiFPV. Ask FizzPV any questions that you've got about that. Type CiottiFPV if you want me to read your chat comment. It lights up in orange when someone else types your name. You can do that with yourself. You can do that with each other. If you're trying to get Jason Levin's attention, type his name. Spell it correctly. Put the space in between Jason and Levin. And for him, his own name will light up in orange. He'll see your comment. He'll reply back to you. Cool? CiottiFPV.com is where you go to support me. This is a totally crowdfunded thing. The only way that I can do this full time is through all of you helping me. Hopefully I've saved you some money, told you what to buy, what not to buy, what's good, what sucks. Send some of that back my way, and I'll keep doing this, and I'll keep helping you build the best possible rigs that don't blow up all the time. For example, one of the things that we're talking about tonight. Patreon helps me out the most. Buy yourself something nice on my Etsy store. Buy yourself a cool t-shirt on my Teespring. Hire me for a one-on-one session through Fiverr if you want to really learn a lot really fast. That is the absolute best way to do it. Change your bookmarks over to my affiliate links. I have affiliate links to like a dozen different resellers. If you change your bookmarks to the affiliate link, or if you remove your current suggestions for all those websites in your URL bar, you can then hit my affiliate links a few times in a row. And then when you type AMA for Amazon, your browser will think that you want to go to my Amazon affiliate link, and you don't have to worry about it. You do have to hit the affiliate links over and over and over again. They get cleared with the cookies. They expire after like a week. They expire every time you check out. So yeah, change bookmarks over to affiliate links. That's the best way to make sure that you're supporting people that make cool shit that you watch on YouTube. Cool. Mike K says, is the NewBeeDrone Hummingbird V4 AIO the best out there? No, the Happy Model 2G4 is the best out there. The Hummingbird V4 is really good, though. the OSD is not rock solid. It'll kind of glitch in and out depending on where you have your OSD elements, and it uses the silly little motor plugs. NewBeeDrone's 0702 30,000s are awesome, and they use the little motor plugs, and you can buy replacement little motor plugs and solder them onto any other motor. So it's not the end of the world, but with the 2G4 from Happy Model, you don't have to do any of that. It's got the normal plugs. The OSD is rock solid. It's infinitely durable. I've been blown away by how durable my Hummingbird V4 AIO has been in this. This is the only tiny whoop that survived Castle Crash. So it seems to be super durable. It is definitely lighter weight than the 2G4, and it's a cut down AIO, so you can use it with the Meteor65 Pro frame on the 1.4 inch props instead of 1.2 inch props. So the Hummingbird V4 AIO has a lot going for it. It's also got multicolor LEDs built in, so it looks super cool. It's a great AIO. It might be the best AIO that's currently well, I guess they still do make the 2G4, so I can't really say that. It's one of the best AIOs for sure. I don't love the motor plug setup. The motor plug being up front. I wish it was a little bit farther back, and it forces you to use this ridiculous little plug with these ridiculous little PVC coated wires. Again, not the end of the world, but if we're getting, we're getting nitpicky when we talk about the best thing that's out there. So yeah, 2G4 for regular 65 millimeter builds, Hummingbird V4 for, well, Hummingbird V4 versus 2G4, that's not a good comparison. The better comparison is the Hummingbird versus the Mobula 6 2024 AIO, the Super X, whatever the hell it is, 1S. And it's a similar comparison. Happy Model, you've got regular motor plugs. Happy Model, you've got rock solid OSD. No fun LEDs on the Happy Model. They're both cut down and lightweight, so they can both be used in the 1.4 inch frames. So yeah, can't go wrong with those three AIOs. You can't go wrong with Happy Model 2G4, the Mobula 6 2024 AIO, Hummingbird V4. All three of them are astoundingly good. I have one more of these giant Weebleed 465 mAh jousting batteries. If you have a use for this battery, all you got to do is put an order in on my Etsy store to cover the shipping, and then in your note say, yo, I want that 465 mAh battery, and I'll throw it in for you for nothing. I just want it to go to a good home where someone will use it. I have one. Weebleed sent me a pack of 4. I kept one, and this is the last of the other 3 that are going out to other people. Also, I've got these really cool little whoop stands that come with 3 different little tops for 1S 300, 1S 450, and then 2S. These are going to be up on the Etsy store at some point here, but if you want them, let me know. It's $10 for the stand and the 3 heads. I printed a whole bunch of these. I thought that I would sell a whole bunch of these at Castle Crash, but I didn't. And so now I have a whole bunch. So help a brother out. Buy some of my HPDE. It's not HPDE. What is it? The Element OP? That's it. Oh my god, what's it called? PLA? No, not PLA. The 4 letters. It's the 4-letter one. What's the 4-letter one? PETG. PETG. I figured it out before I had to look. I'm a person. I just saw a study come out of England land saying that people that are heavily using AI for like at least an hour or 2 a day are getting significantly dumber. Like their brains are being significantly negatively impacted by them just relying on you know, just typing questions or speaking to AI rather than looking stuff up, rather than actually thinking. So yes, down with technology. Old people unite. That's about it. Those are all the things. No stream on Friday. There will be a stream on Sunday, and it will be Sim Sunday. I'm going to use the Betaflight Light Radio 2 Sim and see how it is. So Sim Sunday coming for you. Get your Velocidrone ready, and you can jump in and be on the live stream. FizzPV says song. You can thank you, Fizz. That was super fun. You can FPV says I have a few whoops to fix tonight too. Very cool. Benny Bravo says if my 2G4 build flips over and everything is checked, props orientation firmware, roll seems to drift in Betaflight on the avatar of the quad. Is there anything I can do? Yeah. Try a different transmitter. That's probably a gimbal issue. Not probably. That could be a gimbal issue. If you've got a buddy, if you don't have another transmitter, try to find somebody else in your area and borrow their transmitter, bind it up, and or just buy a replacement gimbal. You only need the one, and it is nice to have a replacement gimbal. Danzilla the Terrible is speaking French. Hopefully he's okay. FizzPV says, look at Danzilla being all fancy, them damn Canucks in their education. Himok says, is there a way to solder the video yellow wire on CO3 to the Matrix 1S flight controller? I think the cam pad is gone while I was trying to solder the wire. Why not just use the plug? So the Matrix flight controller has a plug header, and the CO3 camera has the right plug for it. If the plug is broken and it sounds like you've also ripped off the camera pad, that's pretty much it. I mean, I guess you could put an external VTX on it and run the camera directly to the VTX, but then you're not going to get any OSD. If it makes you feel any better, that Matrix board would not have lasted much longer anyway before the VTX or the receiver, or it just... So, yeah. I know it sucks when stuff blows up, but the just pretend I said words. Fragdigla says, price for the A1 mini blue build plate. Half of whatever I paid on eBay. Let's see. My eBay. Do you have a full-size A1 and an A1 mini, Frank? That's pretty rad. Purchases. Looks like I paid... What happened here? Looks like I paid $30 for it, so $15. It's all yours. Well, $20 with shipping. Cole Power says, I just got a couple new build plates. Used your affiliate link. One is that carbon fiber prismatic effect. That's pretty slick. That's what Quadmilla uses. And I was so confused when I got their prints and they it looked like it was carbon fiber on the back. I was like, did they impregnate this with carbon fiber or something like that? And then I realized it was just a build plate thing. But that was kind of cool. Whoop Fox says, anyway, to make it look like you're not looking at the sun. All my cams soon to not like using what? BI1, V1 and V2 and CO3. Anyway, to make it look like you're not looking at the sun. I think what Whoop Fox is saying is that he's got the BI V1, the V2, and the CO3. Hey! And when he flies outside, they're too bright. No, there's nothing you can do. But I've never noticed that. I usually fly outside with the Runcam Nano 3 though. Which is probably why I haven't noticed that. But yeah, no, there's nothing you can do on the Tiny Whoop cameras. There's no controls at all. So it is, you plug it in and it is what it is. Oh, the things that we do to save weight. Danzel the Terrible says retraction might help. Pulls filament back into the nozzle a bit so it doesn't dribble during travel. I actually have. You know, it's funny. Adding retraction in was one of the very first things that I did. I think that was Ian Madstech's main setting override. Oh, see, there is some retraction in there, though. 1 millimeter, 40 millimeters per second. So I do have some retraction. All right. Well, I mean, the stringing, it's not bad. It's not that bad. Whatever. I'll just ignore it and get the torch out. What's up, C-Joe? C-Joe says, Kimmel may have gotten canceled, but hopefully I always have you. Yeah, that's kind of shitty, man. He did not say something worthy of being canceled, is from what I saw. I mean, God knows what the actual story is, but boy, it's getting a little... You know, the people that have been calling us snowflakes for the last 8-12 years, whoo, boy, are they some fucking snowflakes. Woo! Wow. Man. Like, for the last 12 years, when a Democrat or leftist gets killed, the jokes begin, and it's all fucking fun and games, and you know, and like it's nonstop. And like, boy, the last week and a half or whatever it's been, it's just like, yo, what? Jesus. It's something else, dude. I don't know, man. Scary times. Really, really, really scary times. CJ says, do your neighbors ever catch you flying / get annoyed with you? I have one jerk neighbor when I'm home from college. The people over here that always have 18 cars in their driveway, there's one person that lives there that doesn't like drones. And there was a couple weeks ago, I was flying the F3 Siren around, and he didn't have his dog tied up. And the dog took off chasing it. And I realized it right away. And so I flew back into his yard, and I hovered in his yard to pull the dog back into his yard. And then he got he put a leash on the dog. And then I was like, cool, he'll be cool with me now. And then he immediately starts screaming, get that thing the fuck out of here. Ah! I'm like, oh, okay, he's just a douchebag. Got it. The other people that live in that house are totally cool. There's like 4 or 5 people that live in that house. There's an old lady, and then I think they're like she bought the house, and then I think her kids, they're my age and older. And yeah, 2 of them are totally cool with me and think it's hysterical. And then he has also, Maggie's been on our back deck, and then he's been on his deck. They have a TV out on their deck, and he loves to sit out there and just absolutely watch sports and just scream bloody murder, which is just so fucking obnoxious. But you know, it's your porch. I'm not going to be an asshole. But if he's on that porch and he hears me flying, Maggie says that he goes inside real quickly. Like, as if I'm going to spy on him, I guess. I don't know. People are horrible. Horrible. There are so many absolutely vile, awful people. Wowee. Yo. How has this happened? How are there this many fucking monsters among us, yo? The entire rest of the neighborhood thinks it's fucking amazing. But yeah, it's just that one guy, and he doesn't. It doesn't seem like he's gonna do shit. Not that he really can. You know, he has no control over the airspace, nor does the local police. And I don't really fly outside all that often. I'll fly outside like maybe like 2 or 3 batteries every few days. So it's not like, if that, like sometimes, you know, 2 weeks will go by where I don't fly. So it's not like a constant thing. It's when it's a constant thing that people start to act like real douchebags. So, yeah. YouTube just did the thing, scrolled me to the bottom. I'm scrolling back up to try to find my place. Nyafu says, opinion on AI for stuff like this. I think it's terrible. You know, we're using AI for the wrong shit. We're using it to replace artists making good quality art. Why are we not using it to fold our laundry? Why are we not using it to do all the other shit that we hate doing? Why is it not putting the dishes in the dishwasher for us? I'm exaggerating, obviously, but like, come on, right? Like, let's get a handle on this shit. Let's not destroy the entire world of creatives by replacing them with something that makes soulless, mindless slop, even though it is staggeringly good with a little bit of training. I don't know, man. It's really fucking scary. That's what it is, because what are we going to do, right? Like, sure, universal income for everyone, and then we all just get to chill at home if we're willing to only make whatever they can afford to pay us, $30 a year. That's interesting, but no. What the hell? I don't know, man. Look, we had a good run. The older you are, the better of a run you've had. We're all pretty lucky. We got to live through some wild times, right? The best times in the history of the planet. But it's over, obviously, right? Like, you know, in this country, we probably won't live to see the end of this regime. The rest of the world, you know, you'll do better than us in dum land, but global warming and climate change is at it's over the tipping point. So, you know, we had a good run. It's important to remember that. Danzil the Turbo says the first Teddy song was indeed about 5 minutes of work, including download time. FizzPV says 15 minutes, better tools. Yeah, so the first Teddy Spaghetti song was a year ago. Fizz did this like the other day, and it's, yeah, obviously it's improved a lot in the last year. FizzPV also says, let me know the time need to cover, and we'll make one with me actually playing the drums. Nice. Denzel the Servo says, haha, you don't help me save money at all. I buy more stuff because of you, but you buy the good stuff that doesn't catch on fire. So in the end, you save money because you don't buy 18 Betaflight AIOs and waste all that money. See? I can always spin that shit. I was a salesperson for many years. You Can FPV says, great, now I'm going to be singing Teddy Spaghetti for the next 2 days. Teddy Spaghetti for the next 2 days. Denzel the Trouble says, see Zavi above. Zavi says, it makes me so happy to know that you're still doing Whoop Wednesdays. Much love from around 2018 with FPV Slack chat. Oh my god, dude. FPV Slack chat. I forgot all about that. And all the boys. Damn, dude. Holy shit. So that's back in the days of Gap It and Blue and the FPV show. Yeah, holy shit, FPV Slack chat. I haven't thought about Slack chat in fucking forever. Jeez. Slack was like the Discord of back then, and Gap It and those guys used to hang out on Slack chat, and I would hang out in there as well, and it was super, super, super fun. Damn, blast from the fucking past. Insane. Nyafu says, what 2S AIO do you use for digital 2-inch whoops? I really like the Betaflight 12 amp, but apparently that's not being made anymore, and it's impossible to find. The Mobula 704 comes with an AIO that's been totally bulletproof. And so, yeah, just look up the Mobula 704 and then look at what the AIO is. That's the one that's in here, in the 2-inch build. The 1.6-inch build that I was playing that flight footage from, it has that Betaflight board that apparently you can't get anymore. And then I think there's a Flywoo board. I did a live stream a couple months back with all three of them. We talked about the pros and cons. Best AIO digital. We'll probably find it. Oh, balls. Best AIO digital 04 maybe. Oh, come on now. Oh, come on now. Oh, come on now. I have a stomach ache. Here we go. Best AIO for DJI 04 Lite 2S 75mm builds. So here you go. This has all three of the options. This, well, at that time, there might have been one more AIO that's come out. I don't remember, but yeah, that live stream's got all three. The Happy Model one though that comes in the Mobula 704, easy button. Just get that one. FizzPV says the future marches on. Learn the tools or get left behind. God, is that true? Just a fun way to put what I hear in my head onto paper. I mostly use it for pre-arrangement and then recut the track with people. That's rad. That's a great use for it. Holy shit. Bren Lugo says, what's the flight characteristic difference between a prop with a wider chord versus a thinner chord, given all other prop specs being the same? Grip. So by chord, the chord of the propeller is basically the thickness of the blade, I believe, right? What is the... What the fuck? The chord line. The chord. Oh no, is the chord the thickness? The chord is the imaginary straight line segment joining the leading edge and the trailing edge. Leading edge and the trailing edge. So it's the straight line. Oh, so the chord would be not the... Oh, where the hell did those 7-inch props go that I put up here? Which, let me... Here they are. So the chord is not this dimension. It's that dimension. It's how thick the prop is here. That's going to have a lot to do with the weight of the propeller. It's also going to have a lot to do with the strength of the propeller. From like an aerodynamic standpoint, the thicker the chord, the harder the prop is going to have to work because it's going to have to move the air farther as it cuts through. I think the main thing though is going to be strength and weight. Is going to be the main flight characteristic there. If you thought you were asking about this dimension of the propeller, this width here, it's all about grip. The wider this is, the grippier the prop is going to be. I think it's also going to be less efficient though. I think the wider this is, the less efficient it's going to be, because when the air rolls off the trailing edge, it has to try to smooth back out. The longer the period of time for it to smooth back out before the next blade comes into it, the more efficiency. And so the wider you make this, the less time the air has before the next blade hits it to settle the fuck down. And so, yeah, hopefully it answers your question. Look at the. I want to get a motor shaft and a bearing put in the tip of my nose so I can put a prop on my nose and spin it. That's a weird thought to have. FPV says V4 motor pads are pretty big too if you want to just screw the plugs. Are they? I didn't even... Oh, there are. Yeah, there's a bunch of motor pads up on top. That's true. Yeah, Hummingbird V4 AIO is really, really good. Does the Mobula 6 2024 AIO have pads? Nope. Well, it might. They might be under the plugs. But yeah, if... Oh, nope, there they are. Is that them? Is that the pads? It totally has pads. Yeah, the Mobula 6 2024 AIO. The pads aren't quite as big as the NewBeeDrone, but I actually like them better. They're the NewBeeDrone just has flat square pads on the top of the AIO, which is totally fine, but then the wires, you solder your wires on there, and then the wires point directly at the duct, so you got to put like a 90-degree angle on them. Mob 6 2024 has the pocketed pads on the side of the AIO. So you put the wires and they go straight down, and which clears the duct a little bit better. But, you know, to each their own. Either way, I'll totally work. But I never recommend that you direct solder motors unless you're not going to crash. So when you start crashing, you're going to start banging up motors. Unless you do a 1.5mm motor shaft motor, which is what we're going to talk about in a little bit here. Bernard Fox says, just bought the Screamers 32,500 on HD0 AIO 15. Full throttle loses video like your walk snail. Do I limit the motors? Was on 1S Lava. Yeah, either limit the motors or run. If you're running a tri-blade, you can drop down to a bi-blade. You can also run a fresher battery or maybe a different battery. I've never had a problem with the 1S Lavas, but you can try a different battery. That might help. Yeah, you just got to get less voltage draw going. Motor limiting is going to be the easiest. That's going to be the easy button for sure. That's a shame. Does it only do... Hopefully it only does that towards the end of the battery. On all my walk snail rigs, I have the low battery warning set up to come on early, so that I don't run the battery down to the point where I can go full throttle and lose video. FizzPV says, if I'm the only human involved, I'm the only one who can copyright strike you, and that ain't gonna happen, lol. Frank Nicholas says, I have 2 X1C printers, and I bought my oh, that's right, you bought your grandkid A1 money. That's awesome. Jamie Flies FPV says, oh hi. FizzPV says, if someone comes at me with the F your feelings attitude with me, they get what they give, period. YouTube just did the thing. Scrolling back up. You can FPV says people always go to spying first. Yeah, it's really the fact that people think that when you're flying a drone you're spying on them. That says, not everybody obviously, but people that think that way, it says a lot about them, right? It says that either they're doing something wrong and they don't want to get caught, or they're people that have watched way too many reality TV shows and they think that, like, their life matters. Like, they think that anyone cares about them, which obviously no one does, right? Like, 99.9% of people on this earth, no one's gonna spy on you. No one gives a fuck about you. You are a fraction of a grain of sand on a giant spaceship hurtling through the ether. No one cares. No one gives a shit to look at you. Fucking get your head out of your ass. It's just insane, dude. Like, oh, in my lifetime, like, I've had to watch reality television shows just destroy the human beings, you know? It's just ridiculous. And I mean, like, obviously this country is like the worst. It's like a case study in like what not to do, right? Capitalism, bad. Reality TV shows, bad. Media having a crazy slant to it on both sides, horrendous. I saw somebody was a friend of mine was talking to their friend in somewhere in Asia, and they were like, yeah, the news this, the news that, and the their friend in Asia was like, what the fuck are you watching the news for? And they're like, oh, I gotta stay informed. They're like, no, you're not staying informed. The news is all slant. It's like that in the entire world. Why would you do that? Like, talk to your friends, talk to humans, talk to other people. The news is awful. So many things. Oh my god, dude. Scary. Everyday with Bruno says, between the lockdown and the administration at the time, folks got all brave and in vacuums of evil and ugliness. Yeah. P-Money says, we got the last of the freedoms, bro. Yeah, for real. Yeah, that's out the window. Really confusing that the freedoms people are the people that are so excited about losing all their freedoms. What is happening? What, like, oh my god. It just, nothing makes any sense. Nothing makes any sense anymore. It's wow. FizzPV says, I don't use any AI components for anything I do for money. Real musicians for that. Nice. Everyday with Bruno says, all great nations have a downfall, unfortunately. Yep. But hey, things could work out and everything be okay with a laughing face. Yeah. I mean, you never know, but no, that's not how it's going to go down. If it's not, if this hasn't become obvious to you yet, it will tomorrow or the next day when, you know, absolutely horrible things just happen every day at this point. Just, you know, less human rights, less intelligent anything, more distrust in science. Oh my god. CiottiFPV says, I'll have to go watch the digital AIO stream. I don't remember I don't remember watching. Was going to pick up the Flywoo Goku 2S HD. There's nothing wrong with the Flywoo other than the price. It's a little expensive. It's really cool because it's white. And it's the AIO that Water Wyatt Workwimes uses in their 04 75mm rig, which I've talked to Tyler over there. If he's still working there, I'd be pretty surprised if Tyler's still working there, because from the conversations that I've had with him, he doesn't seem like he is aligned with anybody else that's still currently working there. And so, yeah, I don't know if he's still there or not, but he's a good guy, and I trust him, and he knows what he's doing. So the Flywoo is a really good choice. It's just the most expensive choice. Nyafu says, opinion on 2-inch toothpicks versus whoops on 2S. The long and short of it is this. Open prop, like 2S stuff, even 3S stuff, doesn't have the power to push like blades of grass out of the way. And so flying open prop stuff outside, all I do is the walk of shame over and over and over and over again. Oh, I hit Scraggle. The motor stalls out. It falls to the ground. Turtle motor's not strong enough to push the grass out of the way. I take the walk of shame. I flew next to the house and bumped it, and it's nonstop. What has been so much fun about the 1.6 inch, 1.8 inch, 2 inch tiny whoops outside is that you can smash into stuff, you can turtle mode in the grass, you can like it's awesome. Like you almost never have to take the walk of shame. I'll have to take the walk of shame when I like drive it into the bushes, but like that's it. Every other time you can flop it around enough and take it back off. And like, I guess if you don't crash, that matters less, but start crashing. If you're crashing, you're pushing your limits, and that's what's going to give you that like extra little adrenaline hit, and that's also what's going to make you a better pilot. Like, you have to push your limits to improve as a pilot. And so crash. Unless you're flying something open propped and lightweight. The 3-inch 4S open prop stuff has enough grunt to push shit out of the way and actually take back off, so it's not just a constant walk of shame festival. You do have to take the walk of shame when you crash inverted and you bend a propeller down so far that it won't turn, right? So it's definitely a lot more walky to fly those rigs, but at least if you crash in the grass, you can turtle mode it back over and take it back off. But yeah, like 2S stuff and most 3S stuff, it just doesn't have the grunt. It's certainly 1S open prop stuff. And so when I fly that stuff, I fly like super safe and super backed off. And then after like one battery, I'm just like, okay, now what? Like, that was 3 minutes of me flying this thing. I'm not having nearly as much fun. I would rather either fly something else or go do something else. And so it's tough. Like, I love the idea of the open prop stuff, and like I am going to build a 04 light. Oh, hold on. This lamp is all screwed up. I am going to build an 04 light open prop 2.5-inch, 3-inch rig. But it's going to be 4S. I don't know. I would love to have an open prop, small, lightweight digital setup for like travel. Like when I went on that trip to Long Beach, California, the 2-inch whoop was getting pushed around quite a bit by all the wind coming off the ocean. And so if I'd had this exact thing, just without the prop guards, it would have performed a lot better. And in that scenario, I wasn't crashing. I wasn't flying all that hard. I was just, diving buildings and flying out over the water and shit like that. And so in those scenarios, almost like long range, right? The open prop stuff is going to perform a lot better. But like for freestyle, for like proper freestyle, and like the majority of the flying that I think most of us do, right? It's hard to get around how annoying they are to chase down every single time you crash. So yeah, it's tough, man. And then like the problem is, right? Like you build that long range micro essentially, and then how often do you go on vacation? Like how often are you actually going to fly the thing? You got this like, with 04 on board, you got something that's knocking on the door being $300, and like, when are you going to fly it? You're not going to do proper long range stuff because it's a micro. It doesn't cover more than like 30 miles an hour, unless you're flat out, right? It's like this super specific use. I guess if you live near a city and you want to just go downtown in that city and just like bomb all the buildings all the time, yeah, okay. Because when you do that type of flying, you don't crash. Because when you do crash, it ends up on the rooftop and you never get it back. So yeah, it's the open prop thing is tough for me. Also, the open prop stuff will it'll be really slidey. Which makes shooting like the small gaps in front, back, and behind your house a lot more difficult. So like, it really is like the open prop stuff. It's a really specific kind of thing. It's like flying big with wind where you're not going to crash. And I think most people don't have that situation, But if you do, there you go. The 1.6 inch 2S, 2 inch 2S tiny whoops are incredibly fun. I cannot say that I've when I first started in FPV 9-10 years ago, all I knew was the toothpick thing, and I had lots of fun, and I took the walk of shame a million times, and I had loads of fun with toothpicks back then. Then I moved away from them, 5-inch stuff, 3-inch stuff, cinematic, went pro doing cinematic work and the live streams and whatnot. Every time over the years that I've revisited toothpicks, it's not as much fun. Maybe that's just because I like to fly really, really hard and I'm not afraid to crash. But yeah, the open prop 2-inch, 2.5-inch thing and smaller, every single time I try it, it's just not fun. It's just not as fun as the other options. Namely prop guarded stuff. So, yeah. But again, that's just me. Jason Levin says, wait, hold on. Oh, all right. Chat did the thing again. Hold on. I got to scroll back up. Arizona FPV says, hey, I got the Happy Model AIO for my 65mm, and sometimes when I crash, I lose ELRS link. It's an integrated SPI receiver. Unfortunately, with the one big problem with AIOs is that no matter what starts acting weird, there's nothing you can do about it. There's no, there's no fixing things. And so you just got to kind of keep dealing with that until it dies all the way and then buy a whole new AIO. It's sort of the price that we pay for having stuff that's like ultra lightweight. And yeah, it's super annoying, but we're all in this together. We're all in this together. And hey, if you were to buy a 30x30 flight controller, you'd spend $100 nowadays. If you were to buy a 30x30 EIC, you'd spend $100 nowadays. If you were to buy a receiver, so it's even like buying an AIO and it shits the bed and you buy another one, you're still, not spending that much more money. You're probably still not spending more money, you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, that's there's nothing in Betaflight. There's no setting in Betaflight that's like do you want your ELRS to lose link every time you crash? Yes, no. You know what I mean? There's nothing in Betaflight that affects that. That's just a physical problem. If it's a new AIO, get in touch with whoever you bought it from and tell them what's going on, and maybe they'll hook you up and send you another one. If it's not a new AIO, you're on your own. Here's my question, though. Has it ever worked? Okay, here's how you really troubleshoot that shit. The number one first thing with any troubleshoot is, when did the behavior start? Did the behavior start when you went full throttle into a metal pole? If so, you damaged it. If the behavior has been there since it was brand new, maybe it was jacked up out of the box. Get in touch with whoever you bought it from. If the behavior started when you updated your ELRS receiver to a new version, there's your problem. You need to match that version on the your ELRS module. You need to match that version up with the receiver. You probably don't need to do that, but right, that's how you that is the best way to start a troubleshoot, is when did this start? We always really quickly dive into Betaflight and start fucking with shit. Stop. Whenever something starts acting weird, just hold on. Just think for a minute. When did this start? Was it kind of doing this last week a little bit? Is it absolutely brand new just now? You got to think back and you got to travel back in time. FPV says, I thought HD0 AIO 15 was a 2S board. I think it is. I haven't kept track of the HD0 stuff. Because I can't find a way to love it, unfortunately. Andrew Taylor says, if I was going to spy on someone, I would definitely use something that flies around in plain sight and makes a ton of noise. Yeah, and also can't hover and always has to move forward. Jesus. Jason Levin says MCK crashes a lot when he practices, and he's a decent pilot. He's all right. He's fine. I mean, you know, best in the world right there. Nyafu says, and also fellow Ganglies, opinions on using carbon toothpick frames with ducts. I feel like it would have better vibration characteristics. While that is technically true, it typically doesn't help anything. The plastic frames are strong enough, and they block the least amount of thrust possible. If you've got a carbon fiber frame blocking thrust, and then you put ducts on top of that, and they're blocking more thrust, you end up with a platform that doesn't make as much power and is less efficient. And there's almost no benefit because the plastic frames are strong enough. So yeah, like the Whoop frames that are carbon fiber and then you bolt the ducts to, it's the same problem there. Like the carbon fiber doesn't solve a problem. Like there is no problem there. It's just kind of like, oh, I use carbon fiber for my bigger stuff, so it must be a better idea for the smaller stuff. Until you use it for a while, and then you're just like, man, I'm sick of 2-minute run times. And it's also a lot harder on the motors. All these little motors, the motor shafts are very weak. And so when you bolt a motor down to rigid carbon fiber, and then you start smashing into stuff, the motor shaft has to deal with all of that energy because the motor is bolted down solid. When you've got a plastic frame, the motor will move. So when you bump into shit, it pushes into the prop pushes into the motor shaft, but then the motor shaft will give a little bit because the frame actually gives. So these little tiny motors last a lot longer on plastic frames. There is a point at like 2.5-inch props where you got to go to carbon fiber. The vibrations get so bad, the RPM comes down. One of the reasons we get away with these plastic frames is because these little propellers spin so fast, and so the vibrations happen at really high frequencies, which are a lot easier to filter out. But as you get to like 2.5-inch props, 3-inch props, you're turning less RPM. The vibrations are at lower frequencies, and those are harder to filter out. So having a carbon fiber frame helps because it does isolate those vibes a little bit more. And the carbon fiber, being more rigid, has a higher frequency. It has a higher resonant frequency. And so the resonant frequency of carbon fiber is a lot higher than of plastic. And so the fact that the motors and props turning slower makes a lower frequency vibration gets offset by the fact that they're bolted to a rigid arm that has a higher frequency, rings at a higher frequency, right? If you can use a plastic frame, you should use it. They are magic, and you can bump into shit, and you have the least possible obstruction. So yeah, that's how I think about it. Islander FPV says, haven't caught you live in a while. Just wanted to say thank you for some of the wild, super fast, and shouty flying in the past few streams. Got me laughing out loud, which I really needed. You're certainly welcome, dude. Thanks for being here live. It's always fun. McMucus says, does covering the circuit board on your camera really make it more durable? AI says the racers do it. Don't listen to AI. Don't listen to AI. It probably could make it a little bit. It probably could make it a little bit more durable, but you're adding a bunch of weight and like I don't know. These things are pretty goddamn durable as it is. I don't think we need to. I mean, if you're desperate to run like the Betaflight boards that are not durable, maybe that's a way to help a little bit. But just run the Happy Model boards. They're plenty durable. FizzPV says you'd be amazed at the access just having a T-shirt from a sign company gets you. Rooftops are easy to get to for the retrieval, LOL. Oh man, should that be the first T-shirt that we do? Oh shit. Should we do like a We should. We should do a t-shirt that looks like Sign Company is a great idea, but I wonder if anybody else has an even better idea. Like what t-shirt could we do that you could just keep in your flight bag, and if you need to get up on a rooftop, you put that t-shirt on, and it'll get you into places. It'll get you on rooftops of places, right? That's an awesome idea. I've been meaning to do like a proper t-shirt run, like 100 shirts, like get an idea of what sizes you all are, to get off of Teespring, to get like a proper run of really high quality silkscreen shirts done. I just need the brilliant idea. All right, caught up on chat. Let's dive in. So this thing has taken some abuse and it's been acting a little bit weird. The batteries are charged. Let me see if I can show you the weird behavior, and then we'll dive into troubleshooting it, and we'll swap this onto the other frame, and all will be right with the world. Here we go. This is a Mobula 6 2024 that I've moved over to a Meteor65 Pro frame so that I can use the bigger 1.4-inch props. Weebleed 0702 32,500 kV motors with the 1mm shaft. Gem Fan 35mm S bi-blade propellers. And a TrueRC ultra short singularity that's actually direct soldered because the UFL popped off of this AIO at some point. Stock FXT camera that comes on the Mob 6 2024 and canopy. Whoopfox says, what do you think of the Meteor 85 frame? It's super fragile. Don't do it. The Happy Model Mobula 8 frame is the way to go for 2-inch props. What the hell, dude? Oh, for fuck's sake. They put these goddamn stickers on these batteries, and then when the stickers start to peel off, you can't get the battery into the battery bay. This is a quad gas battery, and they use like a sticker that's like this weird paper material. It's the worst of the stickers. Come on, man. Get the hell in there. There we go. Oh, hold on. Let me set the let me get the mic set up. Hold on. I also messed around with the delay on the mic. And so I think I can leave both mics on. But we're going to try that out right now, actually. Okay, so there's the new mic. Well, not new. This is actually my old microphone. This is the Zoom mic. Why is it not picking anything up? Let's turn it off and on. Nothing yet. Let's go in here. Save. H2 audio in. H2 audio in. What? Where's the... What's up, Zoom mic? Why you being a jerk? Check, check, check. Okay, hold on. Well, I think I know the problem. Let's go here. Let's hit OK, and then we'll go back in here. We'll go to H2 audio in. Now hopefully that'll work. No, what the fuck? Was it muted? Nope, it's not muted. The gain. Oh, I just messed up the gain that I had. Top floor maintenance company. Hell yeah. All right, hold on. Let's see. All right, so this is working. It's just this H2 audio in that's not jiving. What? Hold on. Did I hit the wrong button, maybe? Chance I hit the wrong button. No, the mic looks good. I think I might need to plug this mic in before I launch OBS. I seem to remember some weirdness with this microphone back when I used to use it. Hold on, let me check here, though. Connect. Yes. Okay. And connect. 48K. Okay, mic is working. Is it showing up there? No. See, yeah, I think I need to, well, you know, I can probably just reboot OBS. Hold on. Let me reboot OBS. This'll just blink out for a second. Be right back. Okay. All right. Yeah. That's it. So I got to remember to get that plugged in before the live stream. So hey, how's the delay between these two mics? It should be. I have a feeling it's a lot closer, but it's probably not quite perfect. Let me know. Also, somebody post to let me know that you can actually hear me, so that I know. Yeah, no, we're good. I can see that the stream is back live again. It's always super sketchy to quit out of OBS. Okay. Yeah, high vis anything plus clipboard equals no questions. Yeah, for sure. So how's the delay? So both mics are on right now. Now I've just muted the main mic, so now you're only hearing me through the Tiny Whoop mic that's on the screen right now. Now this is my main mic again, and now the Tiny Whoop mic is muted. 95% good, Whoop Fox says. All right. Is it better just to have one mic on, or should I leave them both on? I would love to get it dialed in so that I can leave them both on. So yeah, the Tiny Whoop mic is going to be quieter, and it is going to pick up the room. It's a omnidirectional mic setup. I can fix it being quieter. I accidentally screwed that up, actually. So we're going to take it and we're going to add 10 dB of gain to it. And so, yeah, that's immediately a lot better. Okay, cool. So I got that mic set up. I'm going to leave them both on for right now. I'm going to take this and move it over just a little bit more. And here we go. So here the rig is as it sits right now. Let's blap it around. So hey, I rotated this mic, as you can see here. So it is now as if you guys are looking at the television, which is basically what this mic is doing. So I'm hoping that it makes a little bit more sense from like a left speaker, right speaker perspective. Also, okay, there it goes. I'm at 0 throttle. So there you go. So I'm at 0 throttle, and it's just flying away on its own. Step number 1 in lazy land. Simplified tuning. Scroll all the way to the bottom to the master multiplier and pull it down by 0.2. It was at 1.0. Now it's at 0.8. See if that affects it. In this case, it did. So the other reason that I rotated the mic like this is so that when I go whipping past, you guys hear it left to right. Oh, for Christ's sakes. That was the silliest crash ever. And so we move the master multiplier down, and now all of a sudden all is well. Well, what if we now have a bunch of prop wash? It looks like we don't. I was kind of hoping that we would, but what if now all of a sudden you've got lots of prop wash? and you don't want to sacrifice the flight performance. So that's what we'll kind of dive into next. But we've now flown it around a bunch with the master multiplier turned down. And in this case, still flies fine. I'm putting it into its own wash over and over and over again here, right? Man, these 1.4s are really fun to fly. And so, that is the absolute easiest way to fix it. And sometimes that's the right answer. Especially in the case where... Uh-oh, I hit Don King. For anyone wearing headphones, it was nice knowing you. I did put Don King all the way back on so that when, not if, I hit the microphone, it'll be as not obnoxious as possible. It hit my foot. Okay, so let the troubleshooting begin. So we turned down the master multiplier and the problem went away. That got us through the rest of the battery. We threw it into prop wash. It handled it totally fine. The rig flies okay with the PIDs pulled down, which is basically what pulling the master multiplier down is doing, right? It's decreasing the PID gains. Hold on. Let me get caught up on chat super quick. Super quick. Cole Power says, maintenance, not sure if you can use the OTIS logo because they do elevator maintenance, maybe some fictitious HVAC company. Oh, we could totally make a hysterical CiottiFPV HVAC company name. Cole Power says, obvious shirts for social engineering would be security, water power company, internet service, fire department, or just carry a clipboard. Cole Power says, high-vis anything plus clipboard equals no questions. Whoop Fox says, I'd say it's 95% good. Cole Power says, secondary tiny whoop mic is quieter but picks up room to him. It's now plus 10 dB. Whoop Fox says, leave them both on for a run, I'll let you know. Cole Powers says, no, that's too loud. Walk over to Mike and talk, and I'll let you know. I'll tell you where you at. Actually, it might be too loud. It's definitely as loud or louder than your primary miking. A lot of reverb from your voice around the room. Where you maxed before. It was actually plus 20 dB before. So 10. Yeah, I'm looking at the bars that bounce up and down, and it's just as loud as the as my main microphone. So let's go to 5 dB. Just to make sure that it's a little bit down. Yeah, now it's down a little bit. Hold on. Cole Power says it's not that bad. Cole Power says use your phone to play something, song tone generator, and set the levels equal for the distance to the mic. What I'm more worried about is the delay. I had to dial this microphone in with a 200 millisecond delay for the live stream to match up with that mic. And so yeah, I'm like I said, more worried about the delay between these two mics so there's no echo. Whoop Fox says I have Tozo earbuds in and I'm not deaf, so that's good. Hit that mic. Oh really? It's not nice. Don King for the win. FizzPV says what Cole said. Sneaky Squid says, where should I start with filter settings? Do you have a stream with the basics? Thanks. Stock filters are pretty damn good. First thing that I'll usually do is grab the gyro filter slider and move it all the way up, and then fly it, make sure the motors aren't getting hot, make sure it's not acting weird. And then you can take the D-gain slider and move it from 1.0 up to 1.2, fly it, make sure everything is cool, then 1.4. If it's still cool, leave it at 1.4. That's where the bulk of the gains are going to be, in pushing that gyro slider all the way up to 2.0, and then the D-term slider either 1.2 or 1.4. If you keep going with that D-term slider, you gain practically nothing. So try that. Okay, cool. Wait, did I have both? I think I had both mics on. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to mute the... Yeah, so this is just the Zoom mic. Next battery is going to be just on the... Goat ass. Thank you. Teleport. All right, so hold on. Let me go to that other scene, and I need to do this. That's what I want to do. Okay, got it. That doesn't mute it here. Yeah, we're good. All right, so we took this thing off at 0 throttle. It was flying away. Why? The PID loop is error correction. The error that it was trying to correct was vibration. And so it would vibrate in one direction, and the PID loop was overactive, and so it was trying to use thrust to fix that vibration. And then the vibration happens in the other direction, and it uses thrust to try to fix that, and it tries to fly away. That's what happens when the PID loop is overactive, or there are too many vibrations. By the end of the stream, we're going to move this over to a frame with motors that are less banged up. And so one way to have fixed that problem would have been to land, leave the PID tune exactly where it was, take this, the AIO and camera and canopy out of here and drop it into a frame with smoother motors that aren't vibrating as hard. If you want to keep flying, you can do what I did. Go into the OSD, go to the master multiplier, pull it from 1.0 down to 0.8, take it back off. Doing that hurts the flight performance, right? You are telling the error correction, hey, I want you to be lazier. And so the flight performance gets worse. So the better way of fixing the problem is to look at the mechanical system. And the way that you want to do that is to go outside in. What I mean by that is literally, physically, outside in. Propellers, look at those first. Motors, look at those next. Frame, look at that next. Last, you're going to look at the AIO. Outside in. Propellers are the most common cause of these problems. Motors are the next most common cause. The frame is the next most common cause. Dropping it on the desk is the last most common cause. The AIO is the last most common cause. Dialing the PIDs down is a band-aid. Don't do that, and then you fly it a bunch more, and it gets more vibrations, and then you cripple the PIDs again, and then you fly it a bunch more, and you bang it up more, and it gets more vibrations, and you cripple the PIDs again. Eventually, the thing is going to fly like a bag of shit. Don't cripple the PIDs other than to fly the rest of the battery, or as a sort of proof of concept as to what's going on. Here's what I mean by that. These things have electrical noise. The electrical noise, when you look at it with an oscilloscope, goes like this. Kind of like an oscillation. Exactly like an oscillation. If you have a rig that's flying away on its own, and you turn the PIDs down like I just did, and it keeps flying away on its own, there's a chance that it's an electrical noise problem. Especially if you drop the PIDs down and then drop them down a bunch and then drop, like, if you just do what I did and go from 1.0 to 0.8, that's not that big of a change. If you then go down to 0.6 and 0.4 and it still is not fixing the problem, then physical vibrations are more than likely not the issue. So moving the PIDs down like that, grabbing that master multiplier and moving it down or up, right? I could have moved it up to see if the situation got better or worse. That is that is a troubleshoot. Like, doing that is a part of troubleshooting, and you can learn from that. It's not as straightforward. Like, it doesn't always mean that it's an electrical noise problem. It could still be a vibration problem. And so it's not like the first thing that you want to troubleshoot. It's not like the beginning of the troubleshooting path. The beginning of the troubleshooting path needs to be the mechanical system. Is there a massive clump of hair in one of your motors that's offset and creating these vibrations? Like, the mechanical system is the right thing almost always to attack first. So the first thing you're going to do is think, when did this behavior start? Did it start when I went full throttle into the railing upstairs? Yes. In this case. And so if you just stop yourself and that's the first thing that you think of, and you remember that you clattered into the fucking railing at 1,000 miles an hour, done, dude. You banged up your propellers, you banged up your motors, you broke the frame. Welcome to the easiest troubleshoot that you've ever had in FPV. If you don't do that, if you immediately go into the fucking PIDs and start screwing with stuff and changing the filters, you're going to take a build that was working fine and you're going to screw it all up. And then when you do finally find that there's a prop that's banged up or a motor that's banged up or whatever, you've made all these changes that have screwed up the way the damn thing flies, and you might never get it back flying as good as it wants that you will, but you know what I'm saying? So really, really, really resist the urge to go straight to Betaflight. You know, this is why I tell you to not ask questions on Facebook groups or Reddit, because 90% of the responses you'll get are, "You're an idiot, learn how to PID tune. Take your PIDs down, take your PIDs up, take your filters up, take your filters down." It's just, the advice in those places is worse than just closing your eyes and pointing, because someone is giving you that advice and you assume that they know what they're talking about, but most people in FPV have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. It seems like the people that hang out on Reddit and in Facebook groups really don't know what they're talking about. Those of us that do know what we're talking about either have shows like this, or a lot of the guys are out flying professionally, right? They're using this knowledge to keep rigs up in the air in fucking Antarctica, right? Like, the people that really know what they're talking about aren't hanging out on fucking Facebook groups or on subreddits all that much, if at all. Myself included. I can't go to those places anymore because the amount of bad advice is infuriating. And then when I go in there and try to actually like educate people, they just call me an asshole and tell me I have no idea what I'm talking about. And then you go to their channel and they've been into FPV for 3 weeks. And so it's, you know, infuriating. But in this particular case, let's pretend like I didn't take the master Matter of fact, I'm going to put the master multiplier back up to 1.0 on this, and we're going to troubleshoot this issue the right way, okay? So I'm going to plug it into Betaflight. You can also do this in turtle mode. The super easy button. Let's do it in turtle mode. So we're going to put a fresh battery on here. And you can only really do this on tiny whoops. Anything bigger and more powerful, you could hurt yourself. You can take the propellers off with bigger quads and do this, but you can't do this with the props on, which is what I'm about to do. So I'm going to kick this into turtle mode, and I'm going to arm it. And now put this down on the desk. Hold this in your hand, and you're going to just do the diagonals on here. And you're going to be real gentle. You're going to be super gentle with this. And what you want to do is spin one motor up at a time while you're holding the quad so that you can feel the vibrations. And so one motor at a time. You don't have to spin it up hard, just a little bit, just like this. Ready? And you will feel the vibrations in your fingers. You've got 4 motors and 4 props, and so do each one of them. Just so that you have the full range, here's the full range, just so you have an idea. I'm only using like 20, it's around 30% that all the vibrations happen. So here's the full range. Here's all I really care about. Right in there. And you'll feel it when you keep pushing it farther and farther, the vibrations go away. You can't feel the vibrations anymore because they become such a high frequency. And so just a little bit. And so you've got 4 motors and 4 props to compare to each other. So, motor 1. Motor 2. Oops. Motor 3. Motor 4. Back to motor 1. I've done this a million times. I know what too much vibration kind of feels like. And we're not there quite yet. This, yeah, sure, if I put fresh props on, I can tell that 2 of these motors are a little bit banged up. We could probably smooth this thing out, but it's really not that bad. Motor 1 is the worst. Motors 1 and 4 are the worst. You can kind of hear it, but not really. If you're new to this, right now, what you're feeling for is how banged up the propeller and motor is. Unplug it, pop the propellers off, and do it again with just the motors. And so this is going to isolate just the motor and the motor shaft itself. It's mainly the motor shaft that we care about here because that's what dies on these tiny whoop motors. The little 1mm motor shaft, it just bends. It's just not thick enough. Thus, the thumbnail and the title of the stream, how do we get an indestructible motor? It's with a 1.5mm motor shaft is the simple answer to that question. And so pull all 4 propellers. And at this point, don't put these props back onto it. Put a set of fresh props as you troubleshoot this thing. Save these props because they weren't totally mangled, but throw a fresh set on for the next set of the for the rest of your troubleshoot. Cool. So now we're going to plug it back in. Same deal. Get it into turtle mode, arm it, hold it, and spin the motors up. And you will feel which motor... Hold on. You tell me which motors are the most banged up. I'm going to go 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. Ready? Hold it right up on the mic here. It's not quite loud enough. Hold on. I'm going to push it into the microphone. This might be a mistake. Here we go. 1. Here comes 2. 3. 4. Right? You can literally hear it. The other thing that you can do is put your fingernail against the motor shaft. All right, and so you put it down on your desk here, and you spin up motor number 1 as slow as you possibly can. And you put your finger next to the motor shaft. The motor shaft is going to bend like that, and so it's going to on its way around. So with your fingernail next to it, you'll feel it hit your fingernail. So motor 1, you got to spin it really slow for this test, though. Motor 1, it's a little vibey. Here comes motor 2. Motor 2 is significantly better. Motor 3. Motor 3 is much better. Motor 3 is almost brand new. And then motor 4. Okay, so here's why that's important. Motor 4 is not a motor shaft problem. Motor 4, the motor shaft is completely fine. When I put my finger next to it here, when I put my fingernail next to it, where's motor 4? There is almost no vibration coming from the motor shaft itself, which means that all that noise that we're hearing is basically coming from the stator. And so the motor 4 stator is a little bit banged up. Motors 1 and 2 on the right side, they have slightly bent motor shafts. Motor 3, the motor shaft is totally fine. And so here's why this is important to do. Like, if you really want to figure out what's happening, you're isolating certain stuff, right? You're spinning up the motor and prop combo. That tells you how happy that whole system is. You might have a motor shaft that's bent a little bit like this, but then the propeller that's on that motor shaft is bent a little bit like this, and together they're not a nightmare, right? And so it's super quick and super easy to do the little turtle mode trick. Hold it, spin each motor up, see if one of them is nasty. Like, when you full-blown bend a motor shaft, you will know. There will be one that is just so obvious. It's like, okay, I need a new motor for that. Swap the propeller first, because it could be the prop. But it's super obvious when the motor shafts bend. If you do turtle mode in your hand at low RPM, and then you take the propellers off and you just kind of listen to it and you feel for it. And so we've got a situation here where motor 4, the stator, what I'm guessing is happening here is that on these little tiny whoop motors, the stator has brass bushings top and bottom that are, I don't know if they're pressed in or what, but what I bet you has happened is one of those bushings is not locked in there anymore, and it's able to move a little bit, and it's even like rotating. It's probably sitting there rotating in the stator. The motor's bad. You got to replace the motor. If you're a lunatic like me, you can pull the C-clip and take the bell off. This bell is perfectly fine. I have extra 32,500 kV stators kicking around. So that's how I'll fix the problem. Realistically, just get another set of these motors and swap a replacement in. Away you go. Motors number 1 and 2. Motor number 1, the motor shaft is bent. I can feel it when I put my finger next to it. Motor 2 is not that bad. So to get this thing to the point where it's healthy again on these props with these motors, I would realistically need to swap out motors number 4 and 1. I could absolutely I will swap out the stator for 4, leave the bell and put the bell on a replacement stator, and then I'll do the opposite on motor 1. I'll leave the motor 1 stator and I'll swap another bell in here because I have extra shit. But that's kind of where we're at with that troubleshoot, and that's why you do it step by step by step by step. You can also do this in Betaflight in the motors tab. You can just pull the slider up on each individual motor. It's quicker and easier to do it with turtle mode, and if you get in the habit of doing it with turtle mode, you'll do it in the field. You'll go out and fly, you'll bang a rig up, you'll be like, what the hell's going on? Oh, let me just troubleshoot it real quick. Boom, done. You don't need a laptop, you don't need any of that bullshit. So yeah, there you go. That's how you figure out the mechanical system is banged up. Check your props first, motors next. Third thing to check is the frame. If I'd spun all of these motors up and there's not one that really like drastically stands out, or just a good habit to get in is to look at the frame. Grab the motors, put a little bit of force into them, see if any of the ducts or, you know, if any of the supports are broken, and just look at the frame. See if you can find the frame being broken. You can also kind of like take it like this and give it a bend and make sure that it feels even front to back, left to right. The last thing you can check is the screws on the AIO. Make sure that they're not too tight. Make sure that they're not too loose. You know, just give it a quick once over and you can usually kind of find the issue pretty quickly. But 90% of the time, the problem is banged up propellers or banged up motors. That is like almost always where the issue lies in tiny whoops. I mean, in quads in general, right, props are always the problem. But with tiny whoops, because the 1mm motor shafts are too damn thin, the motor shafts are very commonly the issue. WeBleedFPV sells 0702 32,500 kV motors with 1.5mm motor shafts. All of these other motors have 1mm motor shafts. These are like, I don't know that, I'm sure there's math for it, but at least 50% stronger, probably more than 50% stronger, these 1.5mm motor shafts. What you realistically need to know is that they don't bend. The 1.5mm motor shafts on a 1S tiny whoop, be that 65mm, 75mm, doesn't matter. It is plenty of motor shaft thickness for the amount of energy and force that these things impart on the motors when they crash. All right, we're still doing good on time. I don't want to stream until fucking 1 a.m. tonight. And so by going to a motor with a 1.5mm motor shaft, you are no longer going to have the motor shaft be the weak point. The problem is there aren't many propellers available. At the moment, the only 1.2 inch propeller available with a 1.5mm motor shaft is on WeBleed, and it's the Gemfan 1210. Not a bad propeller, but not nearly as good as the current crop of propellers that we've got. The HQ ultralights, any of the HQ ultralights really, or the Gemfan, the Gemfan tri-blade, the newer Gemfan tri-blade. Realistically, at the moment, the HQ ultralight props outperform everything else so badly that the fact that they're a little bit fragile doesn't even matter. They're just so much better of a propeller. If you go up to a Meteor65 Pro frame, which uses 1.4 inch propellers, you've got one option in 1.5mm motor shaft, and it's the HQ 1.4 by whatever the hell it is, 1.1 I want to say. Oh, they don't tell you on the yeah, they do. Yep, 1.4 by 1.1 by 3. And so you've actually got a really good propeller available in 1.4 inch to use the 1.5mm motor shaft, which is why I've had this build in this frame for so long and why I'm going to be moving it back into this frame literally right now. Whoopfox says WeBleed has HQ 1.5 ultralights. These ones, the 1.4s. Tell me they have 1.2s. Double check it, because last time I was on there, they did not. Oh man, I've asked everybody. Islander says, who should we reach out to request a 1.5mm motor shaft, 1.4 inch HQ prop? Well, we have that. That's what we have here. What we need are 1.2 inch HQ props with 1.5mm motor shafts. So HQ is who we need to reach out to. I've had this conversation with both Jesse and Zotek. Jesse from Tiny Whoop, Zotek from WeBleed. They know that we want them, but making molds is very expensive, and There aren't many. Yeah, I have to assume that we'll get them at some point, but there we go. Thank you for the math, Cole Powers. 225% stronger 1.5 millimeter motor shaft versus 1 mil. And so, yeah, HQ is who we really need to hammer on, because they're the ones that are going to have to shell out the thousands of dollars for a mold. And so in order for them to do that, they have to see a bunch of people saying like, yo, please make this so that we can give you our money, right? And so, yeah, everybody hit HQ on Facebook, on Instagram, send them an email, whatever, and say CiottiFPV is the GOAT, and when are we going to get some 1.2 inch, 1.5 millimeter motor shaft propellers? We are dying for them. The motors are out there. We've got the WeBleed 0702 32500s. WeBleed even sells the bells. These are 0702 bells with 1.5 millimeter motor shaft. So you can buy any 0702 motor that you want from either Happy Model or WeBleed or Tiny Whoop, and you can drop these bells on and get a 1.5 millimeter motor shaft, and that's pretty cool. Tiny Whoop has an 0702 with a 1.5 millimeter motor shaft. I forget what the KV is, but they have at least one. And then there's loads of like 802s out there, and all the 1002s, I think all the 1102s have 1.5 millimeter motor shafts. But for, you wouldn't really run any of those for a 65 millimeter Tiny Whoop. You might run an 802 until you run a 702 and see the light. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Technically 125% stronger, 225% of the original strength. That always messes me up. Like saying something is 150% stronger. Like, is it actually 150% stronger, or is it 50% stronger? It's always kind of weird. All right. So here's our little stack. We're going to drop it into the Meteor65 Pro frame. On these Meteor65 Pro frames, if you put the arrow at the back, there's a little bit more room right here for you to put the BT 2.0 plug through. Or do I have that backwards? It's always a little bit difficult to get it through certain frames. Nope. Yep. Arrow at the back. You have more space to put the lead through. Here's the problem with that. The reason why there's more space is that they've shifted the battery bay a little bit. By shifting the battery bay, it'll let your battery slide farther forward, which I actually don't like. So I'm gonna put the arrow. Well, didn't I test this at one point? And the battery didn't bottom out where I thought it bottomed out. Hold on. Yep, it bottoms out on the ducts. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in this frame. So I'm actually going to put the arrow backwards because it makes it easier to put the BT 2.0 through. Yeah, different frames, the battery bottoms out at different points. And on this frame, it bottoms out on the support, the duct support here, which is in the exact same spot, front to rear. So you might as well put the arrow at the back to make it easier to feed the BT 2.0 through. And so we're going to drop that down there. We're going to line this guy up here. And we're going to fly 1 or 2 more batteries. I hope you guys had a chance to fly your 6 batteries today, or maybe right now. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, if you haven't yet. Get in there. There we go. So easy to pull these things apart, but Jesus, putting them back together. Just dealing with these little tiny screws is ridiculous. It really does help to have a Weeha 261 driver that you put onto a 5-inch motor magnet overnight to magnetize it, and then it holds the screws like this. Makes it way easier. Or you can buy one of the little magnetizer things, which actually works pretty good. It's not perfect, but it does demagnetize and magnetize pretty well. All right. Dealing with the banana hammock frame at the moment, being a bit of a pain in the ass, as they always are. There we go. FizzPV says, check your DMs. I will. Whoopfox says, WeBleed has the HQ 1.5 ultralights. Just the 1.4s, right, Whoopfox? Can you confirm that for everybody? I've just been like super patiently waiting for HQ to do a 1.2 inch, 1.5 millimeter hole propeller. I would love if they had that. Islander FPV says, who should we... Oh, do we got that? Cold Power says, according to math, and we got that. Oh, I'm all caught up. Yukon FPV is going to try out his wireless mic for 360 cam HD0 goggles tonight. See if that works. Nice. Okay. Here we go with the motor plugs. And the first thing I'm going to do is go back into the OSD and turn the master multiplier back up to 1.0. What was super interesting, though, is that the thing flew fine on the biblades, the lighter weight biblades, with the PID tune dialed down a little bit. This is a rig that I tuned with these heavier propellers, which would explain why the PID loop might have been a little too aggressive for the biblades. Tri-blade propellers are always going to be heavier than biblades, and so if you want to get the exact same flight performance, you're going to have to run the PIDs higher on the tri-blades. In most cases. It kind of depends on the amount of thrust that the tri-blades and the biblades are making. But yeah, typically a lighter weight prop, you're not going to have to run the PID gains as high. Because it all comes back to response time. Let's see if the motors are going to be spinning in the correct direction. I bet you they won't be. No, they will be. They will be. We're good. Let's see here. Is this the same battery that I just took off, I wonder? Nope. Fresh battery. Come on. Let's go into the... Well, ELRS isn't hooked up yet. There we go. Cool. So we're going to go in here before we even fly. Simplified tuning. I'm going to hit up to go to the bottom of the next screen. And I'm going to turn the master multiplier up to 1.0. So there we go. This battery has enough juice in it. Let's run it. So... Ooh, it's still a little upset. Can you see it floating? Even after I chop the throttle? You can also kind of hear it. Hear how it's not coming down to idle? It's kind of hanging on to the revs. Watch this. Fine tuning. Back this off again, and now listen to the difference. And see, it's not going to float. It's still pretty floaty, but it's not as floaty. Let me really give you an example of what you're listening for an overtuned PID loop. We're going to go up to 1.2. This might just fly away. You can both see it and hear it. So the revs aren't coming back down. That's an overactive PID loop. So this thing was just tuned to like the absolute limit. And it's actually a little bit over the limit. So I'm going to go back to 1.0 in the master multiplier, and then I'm just going to pull a little bit of D gain out of here. Just 1 point. 1 point of D gain and 1 point of P&I gain. I like the ratio of 1.5 to 1.2 here. I have the feed forward turned up to 1.0 because this is a heavy rig. I'm actually going to turn that up even more just to get a little bit more crispness out of it. I gains are down a little bit too far too. Let's see how that is. It's still a little bit over-tuned. If you do them one way, do them the other way. I had those Matty clips locked in the other night. What's happening? Let's try again. One more. Nope. Let's hook this up to Betaflight and take a look at the filtering real quick. We might be over-filtered. We might be under-filtered. Right now, we've got the tune at the limit, right? I backed it off a little bit, but the tune is right there at the limit. When you don't have black box, that's a great place to be because now you can make other changes to see if they push it over that limit. Or if they, I mean, it's easier to tell if you've pushed it over the limit. It's not, it's a little harder to tell if you've brought it back into safety. And so let's take a look. Quad 66 has been having a lot of luck recently dropping notch filters on specific frequencies that these frames are resonating at. I'm hoping that he keeps doing that. I'm probably going to send him a bunch of frames actually if he's willing to keep testing them. Because every frame has its own resonant frequency, and yeah, it's boy, I used one of his D-term notch filters on a build that was unruly, and it just completely fixed it. So we've got the gyro filter slider maxed. Why is it set to off though? What is going on in here? PT2 gyro low pass 2. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a screenshot of this right here, and I'm going to make a change. This has been custom. This is not normal. So I'm going to go to on. That's going to turn this slider back on, and then I'm going to compare these two. 500, 1,000, PT1. No, okay. That was weird. I don't know why that slider was turned off. That was super weird. Here's what I'm going to do. It's exactly the way that it was a second ago. This gyro low pass 1 is set to dynamic. I'm going to turn this off so that there's now only the gyro low pass 2. A lot of times you can take away a lot of the gyro low pass filtering with no negative effects. And so let's try that real quick and just see if that makes the situation worse. It should, we'll see. It's tiny whoops are awful difficult. And so when you think something might help, a lot of times it doesn't, and vice versa. So it's a good amount of back and forth. It's worse. That was 0 throttle, and it was flying away. And that's awesome. All right, so the problem is not too much gyro filtering. That's what we just tested. We just tested taking away the dynamic gyro filter, and it made the situation worse. And that is really good to know. So now we're going to put it back in. Welcome to Tuning Without Black Box, friends. This is how it's done. So we're going to turn the dynamic gyro low pass 1 back on. Let's try this, though. Let's kill this. Well, here's the thing. PT2 filter type is less aggressive and a lot faster. So by turning this gyro low pass 2 off, we're going to gain pretty much nothing. And so let's actually leave it. We're going to leave that on because turning it off just doesn't get us shit. Now we're going to look at the D-term filtering. I've got the slider up at 1.4. Let's leave it at 1.4. Oh, hold on. Oh, shut up. All right, now let's take a look at this dynamic notch filter next. Stop. Oh, that's the battery going dead warning. That's right. Yeah, I actually have to do something about that. Stop it. This Q factor of 500 is pretty high. So let's drop this down to 400, but I also kind of want to add a second dynamic notch filter. This is going to add latency, but it's worth a shot. The dynamic notch filter kind of moves around, and so let's just try that out real quick. I've got to grab a different battery or this thing is just going to keep screaming and yelling. Hold on. This might seem like more work than using black box, but really think about how much time it takes when you use black box. You're going in, you're looking at stuff. You're not throwing darts in the same way here, but it takes about the same amount of time. This really does not take that much extra time on a tiny whoop, which is easy to throw a battery into and out of, and you can fly around the house. On bigger stuff, yeah, I mean, this is a nightmare, having to go outside, go back inside, outside, inside, outside, inside. But yeah, this ain't bad. And so that is significantly better. Now, let's really test it, though. Let's go back in here. Let's grab this master multiplier and let's crank it up. Let's crank it up a bunch. Crank it up by 0.4. Ready? Nope, nope, nope. Flying away on its own. And so let's take it down to 1.2. Save and exit. And I'm actually going to fly this because I want to put it into... What we're trying to do here is figure out if it's over or under filtered. It's not that much better. It's not better enough. So let's look at the D-term filtering instead. I'm going to go back to 1 notch. I am going to leave the dynamic notch. I am going to leave the Q at 400 because 500 is just a little too high. And all right. So let's save that with 1 single notch, and now we're going to take a look at the D-term filter. I've got this slider all the way up at 1.4. Let's go up to 1.6. It's, again, we might have too much filtering, we might have not enough. That's one of the hardest things to figure out. It's always easy to go the wrong direction because then it'll fly away. If you make the situation better, it's a little bit harder to tell. It's way easier to tell if you make the situation worse. Does that make sense? All right, here we go. Flying away on its own. We made the situation worse. Perfect. So that means we don't have enough D-term filtering, right? We went up on that slider, which removes some of the filtering, and the situation got worse. So we're good to go. Now we know exactly what we need to do. PID tuning, filter sliders. Instead of 1.4 where it was, we're going to come down to 1.2, and that's going to tame it. If I really wanted to be safe, I could also add this second dynamic notch filter in, but these dynamic notch filters do add latency, so I'm not going to do that. The change that we made to the D-term filter slider was like the most drastic. And so screw the dynamic notch, get some more D-term filtering. D-term filtering is also incredibly important. The D-term itself, especially when you run it really aggressive like I do, generates a bunch of noise. I'm gonna leave this master multiplier at 1.2 just for now, because it'll if it doesn't try to fly away, then that means a lot. And I'm gonna start using dynamic idle again on all these. All right. The dynamic idle won't have any effect on these issues that we're dealing with here. So here we go. This should be good to go. We've added some more D-term filtering and confirmed that a lot of the other filtering didn't really have an effect. But this might not be better. Let's see. It is. Listen to how quickly the motors come back down to idle. Even with the master multiplier at 1.2. Hear it? It just immediately comes back down to idle. No bullshit, no like, right? It just snaps up to full RPM and then it snaps back down. And now watch this. We'll go up to 1.4 on the master multiplier. Let's see what happens. Now you've got that. Now listen. Oops, shit, hold on. It's actually doing a pretty good job. Nice and quiet when it's zero throttle in midair. Hear that? Filtering is working much better. I can't believe it's. I can't believe the master multiplier is as high as it is. Wow, yeah, this thing is cranked now. Woo, boy! All right, hold on. Let me get that master multiplier turned down, and I'm gonna push the D gain slider. So let's get this master down to 1.0. But now I can come in here and push the shit out of this D gain slider. I can easily push it all the way up to 1.8, and then the P&I slider to 1.5. What a difference. Hey. Hey, take it easy, little fella. Oh, I missed it. Oh God. I gotta get an LED 180 degree BT 2.0 on here. hella cool. There it is, friends. Indestructible motors and how to tune. HQ, please make us more 1.5 millimeter motor shaft propellers. It would be amazing if I clickbaited you with the Indestructible motors thumbnail. You're welcome, though. We talked some important stuff. Most people don't have a great grasp on tuning, and it's my pleasure to kind of help out with that. Good God, it's 12:30. I specifically didn't want to stream until 12:30 tonight. Thanks for hanging, friends. P-Money with the last comment of the live stream after I blew up my last Whoop Canopy friendly MO3 VTX. Then I decided to purchase the Yakto Soon Nerd Goggles from Monday. Now I'll have to wait until Betaflight restocks them. The Nerd Goggles are the shit, man. Thanks for hanging, friends. I hope you learned something. This thing is flying better than it ever has. I didn't realize I could get the... I didn't spend enough time screwing around with the filters to kind of dial that in until it started acting weird, which is fine. I mean, it flew okay before, but it's definitely dialed noticeably better now, which is cool. So yeah, I hope you learned something. Support me over at CiottiFPV.com, and we'll keep hanging out. Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Same time. All the time. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm concentrating on trying to get this antenna to stop being a jerk. Love you guys. Bye. Here's some more flying from Castle Crash. Probably some more DJI interference because it took us a couple batteries to figure it out. Love you. Bye.